Hello and welcome to This and That. I'm Dave Lees.
And I'm Jonathan Byer. Hi.
So, for those of you, we were just talking about this. Jonathan is actually currently homeless. I believe Bethany Frankel once referred to herself as the wealthiest homeless person. So you are actually...
she can have that title. I guess I'm the second. No, that's a joke. That's a joke.
So you're actually, your moving date was pushed back, so you are in a basement in Philadelphia somewhere.
Sitting in an evil boss's chair like it's an Inspector Gadget episode or something.
That wall behind you is curious with all the, like...
It used to have shelving on it, so I was like, can you take that down? Because I need a blank wall to film the skating lesson on. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I was like, don't ask questions. Just follow us on YouTube.
Thank you. Well, let's start this. We've had an interesting week, Jonathan, so we are still... I know, I'm still ducking for cover. Oh, I felt bad. Oh, man. All right. Let's get into this, and I'm afraid to talk about some of the... I feel like this weekend of skating as a whole, there were some great things, there were some meh things, and there were a lot of things I felt very apathetic about. What did you think of the new NBC feed? It was better than Ice Network. Mine still froze in parts, I have to say.
So I did not use it, and I relied entirely on YouTube. And I subscribed to YouTube Red. So you can download.
Why did you get YouTube Red? Like, what was the impetus there? Was there?
It's like, I don't know, $12 a month or something like that. It got rid of all of the ads. So when I was listening to like music and stuff on YouTube for particular things, it would like interrupt with ads, and then I could download it, and now I can watch I could watch a lot of the skating on an airplane yesterday because I decided to like download those to my available offline library. So
okay.
Yeah.
Because there are some of those weird documentaries and stuff. It didn't look worth it. How many of these things are we going to? I've got Netflix. I've got the HBO Go, the Hulu.
I know.
The Amazon Prime. Like, how many of these things are we going to do?
And even still, it's still hard to find a way to watch skating. So you did sign up for the NBC Gold.
I did. I gave my money to U.S. figure skating. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I did.
But you said it was problematic.
No, it was okay. There were some pauses. Did anyone else have pauses? I don't know about you. It was much better than Ice Network.
Still, well, that's great.
Still not great. Also, I have to say, I once flew to the U.S. International Classic because it used to have some names, and Meryl Davis skated there against Caitlin Weaver and Andrew Poget, and it was like a field. Who else was there? Gracie Gold, Courtney Hicks, Agnes Zawadsky, Max Aaron was there in the men. I mean, it's been getting worse and worse every year. I mean, it's really kind of a dud event at this point. I mean, the men's field, it was like, oh, that one, wow, okay. So I felt like a little bit of a downer, but let's start, with every year, the debut of Hubbell and Donahue's programs. Earlier, we had heard this summer that they were skating to Romeo and Juliet with Kissing You. I don't know, how do you feel about Kissing You? It's never been one of my favorite pieces.
What's interesting is, like, back in the day, I thought I was the only person who owned the one Desiree album. She had You Gotta Be,
is it on the same album? I mean, because this is from the soundtrack. So is this...
Oh, I don't know if it was. The one I'm thinking of was like a blue album, but skating has literally kept her alive.
And why isn't it You Gotta Be? Like, why isn't that a short program, or a free...
Well, I remember back in the pro days, it was Rory Flack, Berghardt, who used to do those funny looking backflips to that number all the time.
I just remember that... it was like the intro music to the World Pro one year. They did it with like the lights, and then so Desiree, what happened to Desiree? But I don't know. She
lives on in any ice arena all over the world.
So I'm really curious, like, how this piece came back in skating, because Michelle Kwan used it circa 2000, which was even several years after this film, and then who used it a couple years ago to bring it back? Moore Towers and Marinaro used it once.
Well, and now it's common to use it, as we see so often, combined with the earlier version.
Yeah.
Whatever that one is, A Time for Us or whatever.
But now this piece. So, I love Hubbell and Donahue.
I'm a huge fan. And we're going to lead with the short dance,
Yes.
excuse me. Killer. I loved it. I loved it. There's a strength and a core that comes from their skating. Yeah. Is that tea?
No, it's coffee.
So, and that was the one where they kept posting that image where she like climbs on them and has her legs and
The
she's
best
going
part
around.
of the whole program.
Absolutely. A real power moment. I'm a big fan of this couple. I think they were my national champions long before they ever were. Just always my favorite. Unfortunately, what I love about their skating isn't necessarily their ability to tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
I love so many things about their skating. But unfortunately, a piece like Romeo and Juliet, where you're actually going to have her visibly die at the end, requires storytellers.
Interesting. She's dead in both programs, or she dies in both programs. Because the story Marina de Buenos Aires is roughly, it's like sort of the Argentine tango version of like Scheherazade, where this one is she dies and she comes back to life every night to dance the tango with her lover, or, basically. So, and then she, of course, dies in Romeo and Juliet. I thought the short dance was the better of the two programs.
Okay.
Everyone, I just sneezed. Okay, it was a moment. It was coming on, and it was, don't look at the lights. Okay, so Marie de Buenos Aires, Marie-France brought her to the ice back in 2001, 2002. You could actually see some of the kind of Marie-France choreography. Like, you could see her, like, sitting on Patch's leg and doing the thing with her legs and all of this stuff. I thought it was good. I'm not in love with it yet. It has room to grow. I think it really does. Yeah. I thought it looks... You know what the problem is for me? It's the same thing in both programs, and I was going to try to wait, but I don't know if it's just the fact that, people go through the Olympics and they come out on the other side differently after the whole season. Some people are energized, some people are tired.
Yeah, you don't mean forever. You mean in like the immediate moments following that kind of season.
Yeah, I mean like the next season, how they, how they're moving forward. And to me, it looks like Hubbell is like gung-ho about this season. And I thought that Zach looked kind of tired and apathetic about both performances. I didn't feel like he was giving enough. And I felt like their performance energy levels were really mismatched. So I didn't notice it as much in the tango, but I noticed it a bit. But I really noticed it in the Romeo and Juliet. I was like, is Juliet dominating Romeo? Like, is she manhandling him? Like, what is going on? And it's because he's not matching her energy level. And then I didn't feel the chemistry or the romance between them.
It just felt early to me. Like, I guess for me also, like, when you start like staging an opera and things like that, I am the last one to kind of bring the performance element, because I'm too in the logistics until it's all set up, and then when it's really time at the end. So I wonder if this will be a slow burn for him, or if it's indeed just maybe the material is limiting, or maybe they know they're going to change some stuff, so there's a lack of total commitment to it right now. I don't know.
There's a lot of interesting things in there structurally. Obviously, we have the new elements that are in the free dance and some of that. They have the interesting knee slide stuff. It didn't look like it was as effective as it will be later on. I have a feeling that's one of those things.
I was like, I love, this looks like we're going to do something cool on our knees here. Yeah. Okay, and then over here we're going to do something cool like this. It's not going to be this, but it's going to be like this. I got a real rough draft vibe from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like the free dance needs more time and finishing and chemistry between the two of them. Usually they have such a chemistry, but I don't know, maybe the altitude, the early in the season, it just didn't look... His engagement and her engagement were two different things. She was giving it 150%, and
But I kind of love her extra engagement. It comes across, we talk about in pairs and then sometimes in dance, like the idea of presenting that the woman is the flower. Zach has often been known as maybe the more technically proficient of the two, maybe a bit more natural. He just, maybe it came by him a little more naturally. And I see her emitting strength and an energy that I really enjoy.
She's in charge in this pair. Like, he is along.
But I wonder if it's hard to find your place as someone else is
So, you know who
finding that. I don't know.
Like, to me, Zach has always reminded me of kind of that guy who drinks milk out of the carton of the fridge. Like, that's just Zach Donahue to me. Like, God love him, and I think it's a lovable quality, but probably a frustrating one for her sometimes. But I think she's such a strong, confident woman this season. I'm getting like Katarina Witt Stars on Ice vibes when she would be like dominating and manhandling all of the men, like in the spaghetti western number or something. And she's got the tan skate. She's very Katarina Witt to me, circa like 1998, 1999. Like, she's wearing the pants at Ice Wars, you know, doing all the numbers.
And sometimes when you have an energy like that, like I think of myself socially as a big personality, but sometimes when there's another big personality in the room, you have to choose whether you're engaging at that level or whether you take a back seat and let that happen. So it could be an interesting shift of energy here. It's kind of fun to watch, and it will be fun to see where it goes from here. This is what I would have expected, I guess, at this point.
I dated someone that was equal kind of big energy to me once. And I thought it was fine and energizing, and he found it competitive.
Yeah, now think back, because I'm obviously talking about past relationships also.
Yeah.
So, I mean, have we thought of a pair where we've seen both pairs, or pairs where both, and dance teams, I mean, where both partners are a bit more subdued? Mm-hmm. But have we seen one where they're both really emitting star quality? Or does one really kind of have to take the lead on that energy?
Cain and LeDuc seem like they compete sometimes.
Yes. They're both bringing their own look at me energy. Yeah. We'll talk about that too.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so overall, I like Hubbell and Donahue. I like her French braid or whatever is going on. I do like the whole thing. I just think the program is rough. I bet you in a month it will look so finished, and that's kind of the benefit of doing this early number.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which is why you're surprised more higher level skaters and teams weren't using this opportunity. I'm sure this is a huge learning opportunity for them.
Where are you getting the Katarina Witt-ness from her? Like, do you think...
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I knew exactly what you meant when you said that.
Okay. I just want to...
Yeah, no.
If I'm going to offend people, I'm going to bring it down with me. I love it.
But you don't mean it as an offensive thing. It's a change, and it's an ownership of what a quality she has that maybe she was apologizing for before and just completely stepping into now.
But I think that she looked like she was skating her world championship free dance, and he looked like he was like in August, and they need to find a happy medium because there needs to be chemistry, Romeo and Juliet. I find the ending a little abrupt. Like, we're going, and then we get into the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, kind of the whimsical part of the Desiree.
She was literally like, oh, wait, she has to die. Just die now.
Die now. Why are we even dying? I didn't see Romeo. I didn't see Juliet. I saw, like...
two great skaters doing some things that will inevitably grow into some very cool ideas. And then, let's see. I
didn't even get modern Romeo and Juliet from it. I just got like a romantic program between them. Yeah, but I didn't.
Which I think works for them better. I think they're better dancers than storytellers, and they are two different things.
Yeah, so. They're a singer-songwriter type. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's a work in progress. It's a program that will probably get them where they need to go, but I have a feeling that this season it was a little like, oh, what do we do now? Oh. Yeah. Oh, okay. So I heard that the French are doing a singer-songwriter kind of vibe for the free dance. And actually, speaking of like Katarina Witt, like late 90s vibes, apparently Chalk and Bates are doing Elvis. And now, Stars on Ice had an Elvis number in '98. If you remember, like, Christy Yamaguchi had this, like, light blue and, like, a skirt. I remember, and Katya was in it, and Kurt. There was, like, some sort of Elvis thing going on. Marie-France is really... I'm getting worried that we're venturing into, like, the late '90s Sandra Bezic era. Because we already did Natural Woman. Deanna and Nate are doing Whitney Houston. Like, I'm just worried that this season we're maybe... she's
Well,
still brilliant, but I may not be into the vibe as much this year as
there's
others.
this thing also, like, I was asked to speak at some arts board meeting, and there was this big talk about all these studies with like marketing and advertisers and all this sort of stuff, that there is this huge trend in a general generational sense around my age anyway, of nostalgia. It's all these like old, like a She-Ra Warrior Princess reboot, these reboots of like
Murphy
old
Brown and Designing Women and Will and Grace.
This kind of
Roseanne.
era is coming back, and actually it's almost happening in skating also. It's a throwback nostalgia to this exact same thing. It's kind of funny.
There are good ones and there are bad. Just Chalk and Elvis. It's just a strange thing for me, but
it could go a lot of ways.
It is what it is, I guess. They're developing. You know, they're not being as obvious, but okay.
They've not done it before.
That's true. I'm keeping an open mind, but a healthy skepticism at the same point in time.
Or I always, prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
So, let's talk it out. The other medalists, I thought Tim Coletto looks way stronger as an ice dancer than he did in previous seasons. They look like they're developing for Japan. Maybe Japan will have a shot at a team medal in 3 years if they get a pair that can do anything.
Right.
And then I thought Carrera and Ponomarenko. There's been such anticipation about him competing on the senior level. There's been buzz for a long time. I kind of felt like, about it. I felt like for all of the anticipation and the buzz and the last name and the hype, I thought it was good, but I felt like Igor's other team that we saw on the Junior Grand Prix.
I was just going to say your junior pair, or you know what I mean, combo. The junior team
more potential
is where I would put my money. Yeah.
I just felt like, I don't know. Maybe we'll see it, them push in the future, but I thought that they were stronger than the Parsons, perhaps, but not.
But I'm still most excited about your junior team. Yeah.
So I love how I have ownership over the complete ownership.
Yeah, you could take it. You could take it.
All right. So what now? Also, we saw ice dance in Italy, and I have to say, for all of the comments about La La Land and how Ashley was going to do La La Land, and how Chalk and Bates were going to, and then didn't do it, and then everyone wanted to see Ashley's La La Land. It's the most boring kind of film score program music that we've seen. I mean, it is a complete snooze. I thought that the Italians' free dance was just so generically lovely, and maybe
it doesn't lend itself well. I don't know, especially to dance, in my opinion. I have to say, Ashley did pleasantly surprise. I mean, we knew it was probably too little too late, but when Ashley did premiere the La La Land program, her version of it was cute enough. I was pleasantly surprised. It could have been much worse, but there's a lot of pedestrian versions of it, and I think it's borderline pedestrian. Well, I do think it's pedestrian.
Ashley had a better overall, and remember, it was a rush job getting ready for nationals.
Right.
The Mark and Fabry, I just felt like it was generically lovely, that this is a team that doesn't stand out to me. I mean, they're nice, they're competent, but nothing truly special.
But
no
I
highlights.
felt the same about them last season as well. Yeah, so to me, this was more of the same.
I at least have had, like a Marina and Igor team done it back in the day. They would have hit interesting lift positions on the notes. It's all lifts we've seen before, twizzle positions. There's nothing truly special. So, yeah, that was sufficiently negative. Okay, let's go into something more positive. Let's go into the ladies. There were a lot of very talented ladies. Let's start off with the U.S. Classic. You can just do a little detour. In Canada, Anna Sherbakova did land a quad lutz. It seems like she put it in after having a little bit of an error she fell on her combination in the short. It seemed like she went for it in the long. 1 overall. She qualifies for the final. We've discussed her before, but that lutz, it's a real lutz, not real lutz, it was impressive. Whatever.
It's impressive. Like, all the hubbub around all of this, at the core of it is like, wow, okay. And people that saw it in person, because JS was there, because I wondered, because of her size, if in person it would be kind of like, oh, that was the quad lutz. But in person, I guess it really also has a big impact. Where, sometimes Mao's triple axel was beautiful and a little bit smaller. Mm-hmm. It kind of lost its impact for me in person a little bit. Okay. But apparently this quad lutz does maintain that kind of like, whoa.
I think Mao's triple axel earlier on in her career was bigger than it was.
And I did not see it then. I only saw it in 2013 live. Yeah.
Okay. So let's start off with who should we even go to?
And if we wanted, the second Russian in Canada, she left Atiri and now she's with Plashenko, and she had a really nice short program. Unfortunately, it kind of was a no-go for the long program, and only has one junior Grand Prix. Again, say what you will, but man, that depth is just incredible, because she had a really enjoyable free program for me, but that was all my lady commentary from there. Yeah.
Now, do you notice, I really noticed the Korean depth and how it's building this season, even though they didn't get their Grand Prix together in time because apparently the ice was booked. I think it's interesting about how Korea is making moves, especially sending some of their... It's so funny how the U.S. can't find a lady that can do a triple-triple if our life depended on it. The Koreans are sending dozens to Tom Z and Christy Crawl, and they're, Eun-soo is with Raphael. So it's interesting how they're building the depth and they're making the moves, and they're giving them a lot of senior Bs and a lot of junior Grand Prix. They don't have a ton of Grand Prix assignments yet. Eun-soo doesn't have a second Grand Prix, although it's likely she will with the first and the second place. But what were you going to say? You're about to chime in.
No, yeah, just exactly, like she solidified stuff here. You know what I mean? You see her the first competition and you're like, wow, she looks really good. Like there's some stuff here. And then to me, for her to have come and did what she did here, I was like, okay, like you have a seat at this table. Like,
so she's like in my top 5 for sure this season of like favorites of favorite skaters on the ladies.
Absolutely.
And she's got a real funky Salchow technique that they're going to have to work out. But I don't know, not everyone loves Raphael Salchow. I was talking to someone today that they just don't love it. But interesting is I feel like she has everything it takes to be a world champion, and it's going to just take some time for her to be that competitive.
Absolutely.
But the flip, I thought, was a mess in the short, not great. But in the free, the flip that she did in the second half was one of the best ones we've seen her do ever. You can see that the jump is getting bigger, and the Lutz toe is, quite strong, and a lot of these jumps seem to be getting better with time. I thought that, there were a little rough moments in the free skate, but there's such a stunning charisma to her, and the athleticism is great, and the sass is great, and the artistry you can see is there, and she's just waiting for those. I mean, she has great programs, and I think that she's capable of even more, like, iconic programs in the future. These kind of feel like maybe she took Mariah Bell's theme and did it better. But, what is your kind of projection take on Eun-soo?
I think it's going to be huge, because also you can just tell all the ingredients are there. Mm-hmm. And she's delivering some really nice material. Yes. It's just... There's just an air of loveliness that I just kind of sit in and I'm like, okay, this is going to be really nice, even though she does that heart, as we discussed. But like, it's just so lovely. Mm-hmm. It's something that's very, very lovely about it. And so I'm intrigued. And to me, that consistency was really key from event to event. Again, I know there were issues, but like to have had 2 solid showings, okay, she's on track. Yeah.
And there are so many people that I would love to cut from the Senior Grand Prix to give her that second spot, because I would much rather see her, and she's deserving. And had Korea taken the Grand Prix in Finland, she would have it. She has to be high up on the list of replacements, especially after how she did this fall. So I'm really curious to see who withdraws, if anyone withdraws. When you really want someone to withdraw, they never withdraw.
I know.
I don't mean anyone specifically, but it's interesting that, what's going to happen there. Ye-lim, I thought was lovely again. Still has the Brady arms, but I think just a lovely skater. I don't think she has quite Eun-soo's charisma or style or star power, but just the meditation from Tice is really just like whoever picked the music for her. It just like it works. It's just
it was a right fit because she's very limmy.
Yes.
I mean, it's still that almost awkward. They almost seem too long, her arms at times, but I think she's going to grow into using them with a bit more strength. I just think that overall, Eun-soo is I'm very excited about her this season.
Yeah. So I was feeling for you when Satoko was skating because I thought, oh, Jonathan's not going to like this. He's not going to be able to tell us what opera songs she's skating to and what is happening to Madame Butterfly this season. And then I texted you and you're like, I'm not really feeling her material. And I'm like,
I know!
I'm like, he doesn't get to be that pretentious this year.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but what it was is like, that was like next level understanding that I know they did the work. On these two pieces, tango for her, wouldn't have been what I chose. That was her version of a tango, which I love that she didn't try to do actually someone else's version. She did her version of it. But some of the musical nuances were less heard this time. Now, I know it's first competition out, so maybe there was more to fill in. Maybe she forgot certain moments. Maybe, you know what I mean? This is just like first section. But there are musical moments that I felt like in the past she never would have ignored. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them go by her this time. So I hope that with time, she continues to listen and respond accordingly. The jumps, obviously, it's just like the same thing always. But it's really, to me, the free leg in the combos especially is getting so. Was it always that swingy?
Kind of.
I know it kind of was swingy, but this was like almost like a choreographic like fan kick sometimes. It was like.
And her Salco is strange too. Talking about that one can. The one thing I know that they've worked a lot on the landing with her. I was talking to someone in her camp, and they said that she
looked a little bit better on some of
they've worked on landing on the outside edge because sometimes she could be landing on the toe, and then she gets the under rotation. But it's always looked like the takeoff on the flip and lutz are kind of a strange, uncomfortable issue for her. So she has a really nice double axel triple toe, which is why she does it twice in the second half to get that bonus. But the jumps are always. Look, I don't know if Satoko is going to last 4 years competitively at the very top. We'll have to see. Right. So far, it looks like she is, and she's still competitive, and she's still a beautiful skater and gets the points. And she won here, and I think that it'll be interesting to see if the tide turns in Japan, if, the younger skaters ever do, push her, out of the top three. She's a very hard worker. And she's surviving, and I think that it's interesting. I wasn't sure how the +5, -5 would work for her because of the jumps, but it looks like the other elements, the layback getting a plus, getting +3, +4, +5, and the spins and the footwork is really helping her out. So it kind of is helping, at least earlier in the season, some of the shortcomings and certain things. So I really like the short music. I think it's gorgeous. I think it really, it's the more generically lovely piece that she's going to do this season. But I really like it. I downloaded it on iTunes, and then I was like, what is this from? And if someone could explain where Song of the Little Sparrow is from, I was like, is this some sort of like foreign film Oscar bait movie that we didn't really want to see but pretended to? I don't know. But I like it. I thought it was nice.
Both footwork sequences were very excellent, I thought, in both programs, and did respond to the music. But
that's kind of how I felt about her programs last year. So I was not.
See, and I thought both programs, like,
I was into the short more. I was not into the Madame Butterfly as much.
I know that, like, the devil is in the details. For her, it was like God was in the details. Like, everything was so detailed that it was just like next level to me. And I think it's very possible that at this juncture in the season, some of that detail hasn't been ironed out yet. Also,
you can tell the tango is going to take all year, and I just hope that she gets there. I'm not confident that I know she's working with Tom Dixon and Lori this week in Canada. Okay. So I thought that was interesting that they're working.
So now I'll be interested to see the next version.
Well, it's interesting to me that Mia Hamada is someone who really believes in using the choreographer and then following up with the choreographer and then following up again to really work on all those details with her skaters. And I think that's why they've been so successful. And they get the points in the spins and the footwork and the choreography and the components. So that there's a real comprehensive approach, even if the jump technique isn't always the highest or the most powerful, that overall they really do develop well-rounded skaters. So I think that that's interesting. That's because some of these people, you could tell the program is a one and done. We never see the choreographer again. We don't know what's going on there. So yeah. But okay, let's talk about your girl Courtney Hicks. We got to see her. I don't know why I got ownership on that. Well, we got to see her moving to Corey Aid, which was an interesting decision. I actually felt in the long program that she looked a little bit more refined, that Corey worked a bit on her skating skills. I thought that maybe wishful thinking, I'm not sure. I saw some improvement. It was less nails on a chalkboard. I thought she had some nicer moments. I know that they've been trying to work on that for several years. I thought I saw some... Yeah, it's interesting to me. I mean, she always does have that speed. Mm-hmm. It always blows my mind in person because it's not a little faster than most of the girls. It is much faster than most of the girls, ladies. And the other thing is she, kind of like the Shoma situation, has some trouble checking those landings, and it just comes around so much. So I was intrigued then why she replaced the toe loop as the end of the combo with the loop, because to me she's already going around, so I think she's using it to her advantage and learning. Yeah, you think they were trying to do that to help? To me, I was like, I don't know. It is even more. It obvious is bam when she does it. It's very impressive. Yeah. Look, her triple with the toe was never that pretty, and it was usually there was a double 3 turn in the middle of it. So I feel like they're kind of harness that. They were trying to use the curve to their advantage. Then okay, because she's clearly on a diagonal, so but a lot of planned doubles in the second half for her, so it didn't look like she was quite prepared to do it, especially at altitude this early. But she does skate in Colorado though, so she should have been more prepared than others, Well, a lot of times, some of the transition and entrances, I was like, wow, you're gonna do something out of that? Like, that seems really complicated, and I don't associate her as a super transition heavy skater. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it was intrigued to me, like she would do a certain like spread eagle even or something. And I was like, are you going to do a jump out of that? And then it would inevitably be the double. Well, so Corey Corey lost Jason. She's, a lot of, top skaters are not in Monument anymore. Obviously getting Courtney there, kind of a coup for her. Even though Courtney's not a world team member, it's probably maybe Courtney's last hurrah or last big push for it. There aren't many top ladies in the U.S. that are competitive. Courtney has. She's a 2-time Grand Prix medalist. She has. She does have 2 Grand Prix medals. She did win this event once. It's time for Courtney Hicks, if she's going to do anything, to make a run for it. So I imagine Corey is putting everything she has into Courtney Hicks. Let's see, because now we know, we can discuss who may have the best technical information or something like this. But for me, I've also wondered about Courtney is about timing, because it seems like she... this is not meant to be mean. It's just an observation about the trajectory of her season. Is she tends to do her worst at nationals. Instead of peaking at nationals, she's often at her lowest point, with preparation, with injury, with like all this kind of stuff. So I think Corey's probably Corey can help. I think Corey's probably using all of her psychological skills. Jedi mind tricks on her. I think that she's doing it all. So I have a feeling. For me, nationals will be the test for Courtney, because she may come up with a surprise. I mean, sometimes those medals at the Grand Prix, you know what I mean? They were like a little by accident. I wouldn't be surprised if Courtney Hicks has like a surprisingly great season or a surprisingly terrible season. Like, you just don't know. It could go anyway. Yeah. it's for so many factors and reasons in there. Although the short program with Jordan Mueller choreographing it, I was like, I don't know if I think that that's a great choice.
Again, this is
an exhibition. I think he could choreograph for her, but having someone do your competitive program when you want to make a last hurrah and have like a new choreographer, not always the best.
It just seemed like someone who was choreographing was for someone else instead of for. It's so funny, the skaters, and it happens in so many art forms, that you won't just own who you are and what it can be. Like in the same way, I feel like Madison Hubbell is owning her strength.
Oh,
and
she's
her power.
owning it, honey.
And I wish Courtney would do the same. Mm-hmm. Don't try to do a musy, angsty Jeremy Abbott sensitive program. Go out there and do a gangbuster program that highlights your speed and your strength. So
I think Jeremy invited too many skaters to get in touch with their feelings, because now all his pieces are used by everyone, and sometimes we wish they weren't. Okay. Your friend Gabby Daleman. Doug Hall really tried to sell her to us. And Jonathan, I have to say, I think the color of Samson Delilah was curious. I'd never pictured hot magenta.
It should be exotic. You should smell the jasmines and all these seductive things. And this was like South Beach, spring break, bam.
So, trying to be nice.
I know. Here, let me make an observation. Gabby is very obviously, she's very strong. And you see that she has a fire inside, perhaps on and off the ice. You see this kind of intensity. And so what happens in singing is the more you give, the less you get back. Mm-hmm. If you're pushing, you are going to limit the sound. You are going to get in the way of your sound. And I think she was doing the skating equivalent of pushing. She hurled down the ice and she just put every ounce of effort into every takeoff. And it was like, whoa, you kind of overblew it in a way. Like that, you almost get excited going, seeing the setup. But then you're like, wait, that's not how you should do that, though. Because some of the greatest jumps come from such a relaxed, almost nothing. And she almost just hurled her body, in my opinion, too much into every single jumping pass here.
Well, and she doesn't have the best skating skills when you get to the nuances of the edges and the turns. But the thing I notice is that skating is it's interesting that you made that observation about overdoing it, because her problem is not physical. It's completely mental. And it's completely emotional, mental, whatever is going on. But I'm not surprised. So when you had a breakup, I just want to, I didn't know that you had a breakup. I suspected you had a breakup, but you didn't post about it on your Facebook or even tell your friends, which was also curious, everyone right away. But I kind of, got a hint that it was coming or happening, but I wasn't sure until I asked you, months later. Gabby had a breakup this summer and then did, an Instagram live video about it. Which is that's a different mindset, right? There's the ones that would try to protect it, and then she puts it all out there. And her Instagram feed sometimes is very out there, and she does edit her photos and gets a lot of attention, and it's not always positive, but it's attention, And it seems like it translates over the ice, where she can't harness it in. There's a lot of intensity and a lot of desire and spit and vinegar, but she can't channel it in the right way. Well,
because, so did you watch any of that kind of footage when I noticed, because always
I saw that it was going on. I didn't watch it.
And did you find it vulnerable?
No, I find it uncomfortable.
Okay, because that would be the thing. If someone was truly hurting and someone reached out to social media that way because they knew they would feel support, then it would show that vulnerability and people could provide that support. But what I don't get from her skating is any sense of vulnerability. So actually, in a way, if she had put her heart actually on her sleeve, it would be an interesting thing to see how that may or may not apply to the skating. But I think we've got lots of walls and lots of I lack a true, honest identity from her skating.
Yeah.
And I know there probably is one, and I think I want to see it.
She kind of
Like,
barrels
legitimately.
through skating rather than
Yeah.
experience / enjoying it. It's very bam,
But
but
yet, in the same way I'm talking about Courtney, like, so she does barrel through skating. She may not have the skating skills as some of her competitors. So what are you going to do at this point? At this point, this is a packaging issue also, but she yet is this athletic barrel down the ice kind of lady who fights it and then tries to put herself in over feminized kind of sultry, I don't know, and there was more hair and there's things and nails and it detracts and seems like a mismatch. And also, there was one moment that I really gave her in the Rhapsody in Blue, and it was where she reached behind her back and she did that neat little touch with the nails. And it's in the Samson and Delilah also. It's like,
so
oh, come on.
I was thinking, like, why do they give her Samson and Delilah? But especially the part that Meryl and Charlie used kind of in the slow section of their free dance when they did it, with that, I guess soprano singing and, that
It's a mezzo, but it's
mezzo.
fine.
Whatever. Okay.
Because you know why? You know why, Dave? Because Dalila is supposed to be this strong woman.
Yeah.
But in the same way, when we had Gladiator, I was like, awesome, it's going to be strong. But she fights it. She doesn't want to go strong.
And I don't think she has the skating skills to skate on the beat too. She does not have the ability to like...
Yeah, she's not listening in the same way.
Yeah. That's just the sophistication. I think it's a mismatch, the whole...
And if I personally had the rough season I had, like Gabby, because going into that season, I'm sure her hopes were very high as a world medalist, and obviously it didn't go the way she wanted to, especially at the Olympics. I'm intrigued that she kept the short. Because I was not a huge fan of it, but just I would need to psychologically remove it.
Yeah. Well, I just remember the long with the Olympics. The short, I always thought that the Carmen kind of worked for her in a way, but...
Okay.
I really don't know what music I would give her. Again, she's one of those people that
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. My favorite was like an ism for you became give her the speed soundtrack. The Tara thing.
Well, yes,
but it's the same thing.
Tara, though, listened, and Tara has a lot of personality and energy, but she did channel it on the ice.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Gabby does. She over-rotates her jumps, and she...
Yeah, there seems to be that same that intensity, but without that intensive focus also. And Tara gave you both of those things. Yeah.
There's just a lot, and it can often become a hot mess with Gabby. 1 times out of 10, she's going to land on the world podium, but the rest of the time, she can miss in a huge way. I thought that the E. Christie the girl is from Hong Kong, was really becoming quite an interesting skater. Still more developing, but she's an interesting kind of personality, I think, in the sport. Skating to Florence and the Machine. I'm sure you don't know who they are, but, an interesting kind of...
Hurricane Florence and the Machine.
Hurricane Florence and the Machine, yeah. An interesting little thing there with a lot going on the costume. I kind of liked it. It was a different vibe. Look, skating desperately needs some new music, and even if it doesn't work 100%...
we'll take it. Thanks for trying.
Another non-Samson and Delilah in the repertoire. So...
Exactly.
Gabby Daleman is someone that should be skating to something that has that kind of an edge to Florence and the Machine. Something
she won't.
To that Evanescence kind of type. Yeah. She desperately would be like the kind of person I would give that to. Linkin Park, Eminem, anything. She desperately turned down for what? This is a girl to take risks because no one sees you as a Delilah. But I get that from her Instagram that she... Maybe because everyone's told her that she's not that and emphasized it, that she's
rejecting, it's
and
tough.
She's trying to be that rather than trying to own who she is.
Because I think the answer for everyone skating is when they find their own voice. And it doesn't matter what voice it is. As long as it's authentically yours, I respond to it.
Yeah,
And we can talk about that with Jimmy Ma and even these like kinds of out of left field kind of things.
like, I don't want to see Gabby Daleman try to be Satoko. Like, I want to see Gabby
No.
Daleman be like rough around the edges, Tanya. You know,
I want to see
rock
her be Gabby
music
Daleman.
and- yeah, you know, I don't want to
Yeah.
see her try to be this dainty skater who she's not. You know, I mean, she's a
And there's nothing wrong with that
Yeah.
because her jumps can be explosive and exciting when they're working for
I mean,
her.
she to me is a girl on Mechanical Bull at a bar. I mean, she is just
Yeah.
like that is who she
Yeah.
is. You know, like
Right.
hanging on that thing for like 6 minutes when everyone else is like, "Whoa!" I mean, that
Yeah,
to me kind of
exactly.
who Gabby Daleman is. So, yeah. Satoko's in the library reading about her Madame Butterfly program. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's room for both. Yeah.
So that's Eun-soo's with me. We're watching, Chicago.
Beautiful
together.
ballet performances. Yeah, exactly.
We're watching Chicago and ballet performances. Yes. All right. So yeah, let's talk about Jimmy Ma.
Well, wait. Who were the women at Lombardia? Did we miss them?
Oh, yes, we have to talk about Tuktamysheva. Okay. So I don't share Doug Hawes' view, first of all, and that's why I didn't say it. And for the record, you tried to walk it back, and I don't think people knew that.
That's okay.
We talked about it with Alyssa, but yes,
it was clearly a trigger, and you spoke with Elizaveta, and all is well.
But I feel like people can know my face. If I agreed with something, I would be like, yeah, that's part of it. I thought was got a little swept away.
And it wasn't even necessarily Doug's view. Well, in any case, you've talked about it to death. It was Doug talking about the sport, and it is sad that the sport is that way. And in the same way, you had a co-host who struggled with things, but then also her suggestion to a skater that was left off the Olympic team one year was, if you just go back and show them that you're a different size, it sends a different message to these older generations.
I didn't even remember her saying that.
Associate that as training, and but that's neither here nor there. But okay.
I didn't remember Jenny saying that, but that was.
I definitely do, because it took me aback until you're like, well, this is coming from inside the beast. Mm-hmm. So you could be upset by the rules, or not rules, upset by the perceptions of an older generation in skating, or pretend they're not there, but then be confused by certain scores.
Yeah. The only thing I think about Elizaveta skating is that Alyssa talked a lot about movement, and I do think that she could move better and maybe work on some of those eccentrics, gyrotonics, Pilates type movement, and I don't know what she does off ice and on ice, but there does seem to be a lack of movement throughout her body, and a lot of times the movement becomes just arm waving, and her back becomes kind of rigid, and she doesn't engage or have the nimbleness to move her body fully, and it tends to be kind of on one plane. And that's kind of what I was trying to express, how a lot of times when Mishin has male skaters, they kind of skate on one plane. And I wasn't...
And then someone like Plashenko just fills in with some poses without the skating to fulfill that requirement of dance and personality, and then keeps going. Yeah.
Whereas it's not like a three-dimensional, 360-degree performance and highs and lows and everything like that. So that's what I was kind of trying to say there. I think that she has more energy than we've seen her have in a long time. She's probably healthier than she's been.
Something has been reborn within, a new kind of fight, and it's really exciting to see. And I feel like Mishin, this is all speculation, I think Mishin digs her.
Yeah.
Because, to see him after the test skate, and, he was like, yeah, all right, I see you, Elizaveta, you're doing well. Come on, let's come sit over here. I kind of like this vibe they have going on, and I feel like whatever happens for her, again, that field is so insane. She still could be our national champion, no problem, but she has a tough road ahead.
I think she could be their third skater at Worlds, for sure. I think, especially if she's consistent and she's getting off to a strong start. So if she is able to get some medals on the Grand Prix, especially when people are going through post-Olympic highs and lows, I could see her really taking advantage of that if she's ready over the next couple of months. I could see the Russian world team being named at the last possible moment. I could see her making it. I could see all sorts of things happening, and I don't want to get into that
Right.
and have people say, you know, what we predict will happen. But I think there's so many variables there in Russia because there's so much talent. I think that if she does add the short program and does add the triple axel in both programs and gets it consistent, it could be strong. I would actually, and I was thinking about this, and I wrote this down to say this before Doug made his comment, and then I tried to breeze off of Tuktamysheva. But I was going to say, when we were talking to Doug, that I think she should go back to one of the programs she used in 2015. I just think the energy, the choreography, the costume, it just enhanced and hid certain elements of her skating, and it was kind of the best version of her, and I don't feel like they've ever recaptured that completely. I think the vibe, everything 4 years ago was so great for her, and I think that this material is not as good as that was for her, and not as successful. I think it's okay. I think she's on a good path, but I think that was just like her magic programs. It just worked. Everything worked. Maybe the Bolero I would put back on, or maybe the Jill Trenery program, but I think whatever it was, it just, you know what it is that, so she's got dark hair, beautiful dark eyes, dark features, and then when she wears dark colors, it can make her look like very dark, but I thought that the purple is perfect for her because it's a balance of light and dark, and it worked like magic with her skin tone, and it's a power color for her, and I thought that it just made her look so strong and so captivating, and I think the whole vibe was perfection that year for her. It just maximized everything about her skating, and I don't know. I think that was it. You know, like I would bring one of them back, and I know we complain about people rehashing, but it's been enough time. I think if she went back to one of those programs, it would just be very successful.
But it truly would be going back instead of just like rehashing from the previous season because you felt like you didn't have time to do a new one. You know what I mean? Like there would be more thought as to why that would be happening versus just an apparent lack of interest.
She hasn't done anything of artistic merit, aplomb, you know, since then. So I don't think it would be hard to bring it back. It's not like she's giving up on something that's really spectacular. So I just think it worked for her. It was just, what do you think of the other ladies here?
I'm trying to remember who they were, Dave. It was like
Corey Sakamoto, not her.
Oh, that was a tough one. A tough one. I just like the Lombardia rank. I do like watching competitions there, and I used to like when Capellini Lanotte and then Valentina, who announced their split. It's a nice ring to view the skating in. It's bright. It's like
so when Jonathan has nothing nice to say, he's like, "I like the rink, everyone."
I do like that rink because sometimes when you look at the U.S. Classic and like other things like that, you're like, "Oh, this feels dingy." Sometimes these B events can seem dingy, and it was nice that it didn't.
The U.S. Classic one also smells like chlorine, just so you know when you walk in, because there's a pool there. Yeah.
Oh, got it. Okay, weird.
Facts. You remember you actually walk through a fitness center up top to get into the. Yeah, it's like really in a college. It's a. Could you imagine flying all the way over from like Japan to go?
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like in a University
of
Utah health club. Yes, I mean, it really feels like you're in Spa 2 or something. It's great.
Okay.
Well, speaking of Lombardia, we got to see Shoma Uno's programs, and I have to say, I think he looks great. He did miss the triple axel right on the crescendo of the music at the big moment in the program, which was a -5, like really a huge disaster. I have to say, had Papadakis and Scissoron not done Moonlight Sonata, I really feel like his Moonlight Sonata would be considered such a monumental, fantastic piece. But since they absolutely killed it last season, it kind of feels like, like it is so great, but I can't get as excited by it because we've already...
It seems less innovative because of the juxtaposition. Yeah, totally.
That was a really great way of you juxtaposition. Great word, Jonathan. Yes. Okay.
Thank you so much. Good Scrabble word.
Yes. I loved I really do like the Stairway to Heaven, though. I think that was a great vibe. I wish he did these programs last season, because I felt like he showed up to the Olympics stale last season. He didn't attack it in the right way, and he has the right energy and the right vibe for this season. The way it all worked for Tuktamysheva, and it all kind of worked together, I see it working for him. Although some of his jump landings are still scary, and you could see in the protocol in the free. But he got a world record score in the short from the +5 GOE. So I think we're going to see a lot of world records, especially once Hanyu skates. I know people were kind of a little upset, like, a quad double combination. How is that a world record? But the +5 really does add to someone like Shoma Uno, who has so many elements.
Of course.
I mean, every element he did was pretty much +3, +4, +5 in the short. When you look at the protocol, I think there was like 1 +2, maybe 2 +2s for a judge, but no +1s, no zeros, no negatives.
Right.
So it's just plus.
Well, and it's as if those +2s might have just been a 0 before. You know what I mean? Like, so the whole scale has shifted, and so to me, this whole obsession with world record and all that kind of stuff is just. Yeah, I just think it's for naught. I do much prefer the short.
Mm-hmm.
I much prefer the short. I find it a little more innovative, and I like it. But although I felt.
Again, Stars on Ice 98 that was used. We're really we're bringing it.
The problem is the bar is too high for me, for him, or you know what I'm saying. Like, I expect too much, and I don't know how he could. I'm waiting for his historical programs. I feel
like his own personal style, though, is developing more and more. It's not just about the cantilever and back anymore. Like, he's really developing as a modern dancer. And I was thinking in the shower, where I do all of my greatest thinking, I was thinking about Shoma Uno the other day, and I was thinking, Benoit would really be a great choreographer for him, because so many people go to Benoit and they do his shapes and his interesting movements, but they don't have the skating skills to really back it up. He is someone who could really do that. Would be a great fit.
Even when Aliona was like, so many people try to go, but it's just they can't sell it, and Shoma could sell it, and that language, that choreographic language, would look good on Shoma.
Yeah. Whereas someone like Brady Tennell doesn't have the knee bend or the skating, to really be able to.
And it's a huge ask to expect someone like Brady Tennell to have that kind of modern dance innateness that like Shoma has. I mean, it's a very big ask of someone. So that's actually a really good idea. That's a really good idea, Dave.
Genius. Look, you do it. You had juxtaposition. I have Benoit for Shoma Uno. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, because. Did you see the video that Dennis Ten did when he was working with Benoit? I guess, I don't know if it was on an exhibition program, but he posted this clip after Dennis, passed away, and it was of Dennis just dancing off the ice, and I was like, wow, what an artist, and how interesting that those two people got together, and you get the two people together, and sometimes it just works, and I would think that I would put Shoma with him, at least for program, because it seems like he directs a lot of his own programs, and he does a lot of his own choreographing. And I think Shoma has a unique voice, but I think adding to that voice with Benoit, because I was starting to see comments that certain people said, well, it all looks the same for Shoma. And I was like, does it all look the same? Does it not? And I was trying to really think about that while I was watching it, and I thought he needs to add a voice like Benoit, who won't just give Shoma what he already has done. He will help further
show him that things that Shoma doesn't even know he can do yet.
Yeah, kind of like when Philip Mills took what Michelle did with Laurie and added to it and made it interesting in a different way, and I think that could happen with Shoma. So that's kind of my thing. And I got Aliyev more this time. I was watching.
Oh, thank God. Thank God, Dave, because I felt so, because literally, like, even here, I expect it from Shoma. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And Aliyev, it was kind of this, like,
so the music sucks.
Yeah, but
it goes on too long at all one dramatic.
Of course, there's that full point in the free where everyone just starts clapping because they legit think it's over, which not only happens musically, but choreographically also. And then it makes it seem like the extra is an add-on. But of course, I'm the one that's like, oh, good, there's more. You know what it is?
He has a lot going on upper body that's very beautiful that most Russians don't with the men.
It's body awareness, eh?
Yeah.
So like your posture and deportment. So many people, Rodionova, I don't think it was just that like when I first saw her in 2013 that she didn't want to put her shoulders back. You know what I mean? I think that there's actual and also like emotionally closed off, or when you're kind of skating for yourself.
And she's a no-neck monster. She doesn't have a neck, if you notice. She's Courtney McCool.
But in order for you to be able to put the shoulders down and completely, genuinely open, so there's like a mile in here, also there's something that has to happen. Just go with me with this hipster nonsense. I think it requires vulnerability. And so I'm seeing a vulnerability. It's like there's like starfish just like going this way on both sides. And it's so open and it's so generous and it's so honest. Yes, it comes with occasional like weird sound effects and like some running moments.
I would like him to do more lunges and spread eagle, Inabauer type move and get lower on the ice too. I think that there needs to be a little bit more of a change in plane with him. I think maybe
this is a jewel and I want someone to take it and just shine it.
He needs a Paul Wiley-ification because he has a lot more. He's capable of even more than what he's doing. But I did see it and I was watching and
oh, thank you, Dave.
I was watching and I was like, okay.
Okay.
You know, the camera angle for the Russian test skate was really not the best. So I was
right. And of course, and the big story out of there was Kolyada. So, I mean, there was so much emphasis on Kolyada, but I've always been an Aliyah fan. So I was looking a little extra hard. And there's something he feels, and then I feel, and then now we're all feeling. And
we're all feeling, okay.
And the jumps were better here than
the
they
jumps
were
were
at the
better
Russian
because
test
they were very Vincent Zoe quads at the Russian test skate, and they were around here. So interesting to me about the U.S. Classic is that it's a tale of boys who didn't develop their skating skills and are now tall men, and their knees don't bend all the way, and they're not riding their edges. And Nam seems to be getting better, and his jumps are getting more round. At least the quad sow is more around, and the triple axel seems to be back. Again, another La La Land that I thought was unnecessary. I thought that the short program is about masking the deficiencies, and he kind of is the best exemplar of him. And it was a win. It wasn't
a victory.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not trying to be rude. It's just like it could have easily been a medal-winning performance. You know, there was no there was nothing mind-blowing there or like truly special, but it was better for him, and he's had I
don't think he's in any danger of winning Grand Prix medals though.
No.
With this material and at this
maybe a bronze, you know. Watch, he'll go and win, and people will be like, I told you, you assholes. We see the
and more power to you.
Yeah,
exactly.
But in a regular season, I don't think so. I have to say, Jimmy Ma is kind of one of my favorite hot messes to watch, and he's kind of getting it together, and he owns who he is, and he's pretty funny. You know, he has a little swagger to him, because he's like a tiny little thing.
No apologies. No apologies. Yeah.
I mean, do you ever see, one time he was in the Kiss and Cry with Peter Kane, and he was still training with Nikolai at the time. I think it was 2017 Nationals, and he was like, I'll buy you all drinks tonight at the bar. And it was just like, you know, not something you usually hear in the Kiss and Cry.
And it's not, something about it doesn't seem so put on like a persona. I think it's just a genuine, like, honesty. And he responds to this music. Mm-hmm. So more power to you. Go for it. You can see.
He has a lot of the Tarasov and Nikolai style in his skating.
Yeah.
You can see the body movement that Nikolai likes with the strength, and he gets his whole body. You could tell that he did study with him for a long time because it has that Yagudin-esque kind of masculinity to it. What I thought was promising was that, so he missed the opening quad, which he had fallen on in the short, and you could tell it was just like not all there. And he stumbled and tripped and didn't even attempt it and just skated through it. But then he came back relatively quickly after and nailed the triple axel and nailed a number of jumping passes with really great grades of execution. And I thought that he showed a lot of maturity that we wouldn't have expected, because in years past, it would have been a complete just wash for Jimmy, and I thought that
Well,
he
and it
really,
is that thing, you hear so many skaters talk about, I just have to tick off each element. It's like one day at a time, living is mindfulness for the skater or something and you literally saw he completely missed the takeoff. So he was just like, all right, well, forget that. On to the next. Okay, hold on. Here we go.
And 3 minutes of the program were great. He had I think a pop on the triple flip that was a little bit Jimmy, but it was good. Now, if he could just work on the spins, I know we were at altitude, but I thought overall...
Yeah, because that's a place he can't... And actually, for his kind of personality and that kind of music, I know he does the rock too also, but the spins go with that. I would like to see them go together that way. And the first time I ever heard Jimmy Ma's name was when you interviewed Elaine Zag.
Yes.
And she was like, I got a kid, Jimmy Ma.
He does have talent, and look, he's not always up there in the leading, and he's stuck with it. So, and he's getting better. So I thought that was, and great triple axel in both programs. I mean, we saw some really heinous triple axels from the men, and Jimmy Ma went and nailed them. And his short program, he has a similar vibe to last year, but it's different, and it's
different
fun.
enough.
Yeah.
It wasn't also derivative. He wasn't like, I had a moment with that last short program, so let me try to recreate it. Again, he just went for something he loved, and it just organically happened.
He's kind of especially fun and messy and fun and different. He owns who he is in a way that we want Gabby Daleman to own who she is. And that's what's working for him and not working for her. And that's kind of...
Because I felt like we saw, and we kind of talked about this, with Jason, I felt some of the Hamilton, some of the things. I understood...
Costume.
But I intellectually understood why they thought Hamilton and Jason, this could be another viral moment. But to me, it seemed like trying to chase an effect. And then Jimmy Ma
I thought it was such a cringe, that Hamilton
program. But Jimmy Ma, who probably wasn't even thinking twice other than I'm just going to go have fun, he stole all the swagger of that event, and he had the musical moment of that national short program. It was kind of phenomenal.
Because Riverdance worked for Jason in a way that Hamilton maybe
and
worked
so did
for
the Prince.
Raheem,
Yeah.
Yeah, it just wasn't authentically him in that same way.
So that's Skate America choice.
I'm interested to see his Simon and Garfunkel. I've heard that it's gorgeous, and maybe without all the hair and without all the stuff, we'll get to see Jason's voice maybe more. Because I think that he's becoming more who he is. You can kind of tell on Instagram, he's not always doing the happy dance thing that he was doing before. And I think that that's interesting.
Promising. Yeah.
It's less performative,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Some of those videos he posted in the past were just...
and then the surprising event for me, unless did you want to talk about someone else that
Vincent? We should talk about.
That was tough. That's tough.
Yeah. So again, with Vincent, he's been injured. The article came out last week. I know he did only a couple of jumps at Champs Camp. I think with Vincent again, when he doesn't have the jumps, you really see the program. And here's the thing: when the skaters don't work on the skating skills as a main focus, and then they go to a choreographer like Lori Nickel, there's not much Lori can do when you don't do the daily work.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
It's like, okay, you pay for the choreographer. And I know he's been trying to work with Mia Hamada, and apparently Mia has had a lot of suggestions for his triple axel and his overall skating technique. She's made a lot of comments. I know he worked with her, and she gave him feedback this weekend. And I think they need to take it, but they need to put the emphasis there, because he'll never be able to achieve as much as they want to. You can add as many quads as you want, but if you can under-rotate them all and not have the second
Because it's interesting. It would appear we're literally looking at the same thing. Because I think you and I are kind of on the same page here, where you see Vincent. So when the jumps go, Vincent is no longer relevant, especially in a plus five kind of situation.
And it's painful to watch. It's not sometimes a skater can miss everything, and there's still an inherent loveliness to their movement and their art and the heart of the program.
In spite of it. Yeah, exactly. So now we have this. We have no jumps, and so now we see there's no program. So you and I instinctively say, work on the skating skills, work on the program, so there's the program. But I think literally somebody like Tom Z is like, well, no, you're just proving he really does need the jumps.
He needs both, is the problem.
At what point is, in the Raphael words, is it too late? Is he too old?
It's close to too late. It is really close. And it's...
Yeah.
And the chronic injuries are another thing about what's happening in the training for that. But
yeah. I mean, literally those jumps and those jumps alone made him a quasi-relevant name for a brief period of time. And unfortunately, that may be...
Did it feel like a little inflated to you, though? Like, did you really feel like he was second in the world in the short? Like, I know that...
Right. Well, but someone like him, it was like, you got to find your angle. And I don't think he was going to be able to find it any other way. So, of course, he had to do that. But
we'll see.
I don't know.
I'm curious to follow this story. But, again, you talk about the Jeremy Abbott music that just didn't fit.
No. Yeah, it draws extra attention to it. Yeah.
So what were you going to? You said you thought the event was...
Oh, the Gogolev situation in Canada was also very tough. And then you're left with, now what's left? It's a child, I'm aware. He's a baby, so it's okay. But
they really are like... really work. I do think that they really need to work on...
And the difference, of course, being with him, there's so much time. And there's so much... An opportunity to grow.
He's already quite ahead of Vincent, I think, in the skating.
Yes. Yeah. But it can go at any point.
Yeah.
So you do want that backup.
Especially when boys start growing. Every little posture thing starts becoming emphasized because of that. But angles become bigger. I think Gogolev, they need to, for next year, find a... I'll be interested to see what vehicles they use going forward. I don't think that the Sherlock Holmes was super successful. But it's interesting is that he has a nice look on the ice. It looks like he was dealing with a lot of pressure, expected to win in front of a home crowd, and he'll learn from this. I think
it's all a learning curve for him at this age. That's what's kind of nice. It's like it doesn't even matter what happens. It's all like just put it in the...
I mean, I'm sure it feels like a huge disaster to him right now, but in the long run, it's probably the biggest learning experience that he'll have, because you'll be like, why didn't this go right? And then you could go and study it and figure out what happened in your mindset. So.
And there's a big age gap between 13 and 18, and so then when you see someone Chamoki left Corey, right? And is now with Christy Kroll and these sorts of things. And there were some really nice moments, and some really nice qualities, but you were kind of like, what are you doing in here? Like, what are you doing with all these kids? Like, go, be a senior. I don't know.
Well, he may not have gotten the assignments. That's also, some of the strategy is
what they're going to get. I'm all like, he's just like signing up for events at home online.
Well, he's still age appropriate. He hasn't finished that high at national. I don't know, for sure, like what he was going to get. But the U.S. men are deeper than the U.S. ladies are, where you could literally just sign.
But that was a solid quad toe, triple toe that he opened that long with. And there were some real presentational aspects to the skating, some nice moments. It's like, well, let's see where this goes for him this season.
And it seemed like Sherbakova, actually, from the short, she dealing with the pressure, expected to win in the short, and then came back in the free. So that's, I think, what the Junior Grand Prix is kind of all about. So, for many of these skaters. So, well, how about, did you watch the pairs at the U.S. Classic?
I watched him and Ashley.
Did you watch?
And then I watched a little bit of the Australians, which was a sad disappointment. They were kind of like interesting me a little bit last year.
So the U.S. Classic is always scary for the pairs at altitude, especially the ones who don't train at altitude when they go there. Plus, it's early. Plus, especially the pairs, it takes longer because of the lifts and everything.
Right.
But, some of these pairs looked like they were going to hurt themselves. Really...
Okay. And I watched Cammie and Drew. Cammie and Drew? Right? That's
lovely qualities, but...
Yeah.
Competitive, not
so those were the three I watched.
Yeah. Cammie and Drew. Nice Canadians. That's what we can say about them. Mm-hmm. The program is nice. They're nice. Nice.
Probably going to grab that medal. Probably going to grab a medal of some sort at Canadian Nationals. End up on a world team.
I know. Nice kids. Okay. Well, Ashley and Tim, what do you make of the programs? Obviously a win here. They were expected to win. They did win. She was very excited about it. What do you...
Yeah, it's an interesting phenomenon. Okay, the twist. It seems like they're getting
a huge twist. Yeah,
they're getting height on it, but something about it is still not. I see the height. Mm-hmm. I see that quality, but landing seems still very crashy to me. The camera angle was a little goofy to see some of them, but I was like, it's. I find it hard to understand how they're going to get the levels of other pairs on these elements. I think it's going to be a tough go for them.
I kind of feel like I always wonder, like, is this as good as they're going to get? They look more like a pair, like they're not. And some of the choreography is better. That they're, some of their moments where she's leaning back and he's extending, rather than when they were both extending and it seemed like they were fighting with each other. On,
right.
Certain things are more polished, but the jumps always look a little under-rotated, by one of them, and it just, I don't know, I think they're important that they push the depth of U.S. pairs, so they're valuable.
Yes.
I just don't think that this is the most successful pairing.
Right. And especially now that we know that Jessica Callalang was looking.
That would be an interesting thing to...
But it's interesting, like, when we were talking about this idea of energy, it's also, like, I think they do a pretty good job at being... I
find the short uncomfortable.
Yes. And perhaps, again, you can't tell, but seemingly slow. And I don't know how, with a pair like this, how you're really going to get them to rev up that speed at this juncture.
Does he seem like a 1920s flapper to you? Because I know that they did the Great Gatsby vibe, and then they did this, and it's like, we're doing it again, didn't we just do this? And it's like, da, da, da. And it's never believable, because he seems more, like, fun but serious at the same time. It just... I feel like he has what it takes to be like a monumental skater. I'm sorry, Ashley Cain. Your partner is really good, and
yeah, and it's tough when you have such a good partner. But I remember the exquisite balletic lines he had in Boston in 2014, a back and this classic thing, and I was like, again, to me, you go cutesy, you go flapper when you're apologizing or you're trying to be cute and entertaining. And I was like, but he really has this kind of Russian style going on. Like,
it's just like, this is as far as they're ever going to go when you watch. Yeah. She kind of sits down the throws.
More of the same.
It's more of the same.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more of the same.
Pleasant, but it's not competitive at the same point.
Or it's sideways motion, perhaps. And they're lovely, but they were lovely before, and they have maintained their loveliness, you know. So and they're mostly in sync, but it is hard when they have these soloistic moves, and I know they want to stand out, so they do these different kinds of spins. But if you can't really deliver them, when
they do the spin over the head, it's always such a cringe moment. Yeah,
Stepanova and Buchan took a risk with their like sitting duck, twizzle variation, but because they nail it and they are so in sync, it's such a wow moment. If they had tried to do that and it was kind of a little goofy, but you knew it was goofy because it's a hard thing, well, now I don't know why we're doing it, because it detracts instead of adds. But that's just me.
Did you see Zabiako and Enbert?
Yes.
And we're doing the Russian crosses in both programs. It's a lot of music.
Both programs. Yeah.
Both programs are a lot of look and they're a team that has lovely qualities. And I don't know if this is the Nina Moserification of it, but like, she doesn't know what to do with them. I would rather see Tamara Moskvina give input for at least one or both of these teams. I just feel like
it lacks an energy to me.
It's very Shishkova and Naumov. It's very beige.
I know we talk about how potentially
like Shishkova and Naumov, for those who don't get it, like they were technically competent. They had a lot of the same skills as the other pairs, and yet it wasn't the same. They were the fourth place team when they could have been the third place team, and you said, why weren't they competitive with the other team? So
I for me it was I don't really see them as a factor this season. They stood out a little more to me last season, actually.
Now she cut her hair, and
it's a different look that they're going for also, and it just doesn't.
The short program costume is a lot for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this was quite the week. It was.
But Mateo was there.
Yes.
And now I will. That's my guy, right?
Yeah.
So what I will say is, we had talked about there were issues with. We used to talk about Dylan's arm not getting up all the way, and then wasn't there someone at a Europeans, and there was a whole discussion about the bent elbow?
Wasn't it Bruno?
I think it was Bruno, and they were trying to figure out how to quantify it and like all this sort of stuff. Man, when he gets that lift thing going, it is just, and that's the other thing, Ashley and Tim, a lot of times there's, and Sway and Han, there's a lot of clutter happening here in the lifts. Mm-hmm. But with Mateo, it is just boom, clean, up, out of there, Even
Megan Duhamel loves it,
even though they may have some issues at certain points with the lifts, but there's a lot of great qualities to those lifts. And who knows, now that they're the only Italian game in town, I don't know if they'll get more outings or if it'll kind of stay the same. But
yeah, I'll be curious to see what it has moving forward. So, as always, we want to remind you to get in touch with your inner Jimmy Ma this week. Embrace your own hot self. Let your chest hair out and your curls grow.
It's so humid. It's so humid. Oh,
hold an edge and look sexy. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.